presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Arizona.
It's a getaway day matinee. We're at Chase Field for some rare Tuesday afternoon baseball. It's the D-backs and the Astros. We'll play one at home today before it's off to Houston for two more against the Astros to complete this four-game set. It's D-backs baseball today on Fox Sports Arizona. Good afternoon from Chase Field and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brenly along the way. The Diamondbacks and the Astros here today. Patrick Corbin on the mound for Arizona and the young right-hander Lance McCullers on the mound for Houston. He'll face a Houston native, Bob, and Paul Goldschmidt, who has really started to heat up lately.
Yeah, over his last 13 games, he's hit .372. Now, it started slowly. Seeing eye ground balls, some soft line drives throughout the whole 13-game stretch. He's been taking his walks, but he's also driven in 13, and recently that ball has started to make that noise coming off Goldie's bats, driving it into the gaps and out of the ballpark. We love to see that. They've
been leaving the yard lately, and he's knocking in runs, which is what they need in this lineup. George Springer, the Connecticut native, played at UConn with Nick Ahmed, moved up to the top of the lineup recently for the Astros, and that has been a really good move for A.J. Hinch.
Well, you see the numbers with Springer batting leadoff, was on base 4 times yesterday, 3 hits and a hit by pitch. It just seems to set the lineup a little better, sliding Altuve down into that 2 spot.
And then you've got Correa behind him, so the very top-heavy Astros lineup today against Patrick Corbin, the Diamondbacks and the Astros. First pitch coming up on Fox Sports Arizona from Chase Field. Arizona Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink. Switch to CenturyLink Prism TV for an advanced TV experience. Learn more at cprismtv.com. By Jack in the Box. Taste the all-new Double Jack Burger today, only at Jack in the Box. By Oregano's. Step up to the plate for a guaranteed home run at Oregano's, your neighborhood pizza joint, location statewide. And by your Valley Honda dealers, where you get more standard features for less money. matinee here at Chase Field. We are set to go. The Diamondbacks and the Astros. Patrick Corbin on the mound for Arizona. Lance McCullers for Houston. First pitch is next on Fox Sports Arizona. All buttoned up inside Chase Field. The D-backs and the Houston Astros. We are set for the second of this 4-game home and home. One more here, then 2 more in Houston Wednesday and Thursday. A.J. Hinch's Astros, winners of 3 straight and 6 of their last 7 after their win here yesterday.
And here's how A.J.'s going to line them up today. No surprise, George Springer once again at the top of that order. Mentioned 3 hits and a hit by pitch yesterday. He was involved in everything. Jose Altuve at second base. Carlos Correa at shortstop. Evan Gattis getting the start behind the plate today. Tyler White down at first base. Luis Valbuena at third. Carlos Gomez off the disabled list and will start in center field. Jake Marisnick in left, and Lance McCullers, the right-hander, on the mound.
Yeah, Carlos Gomez has been out for a while with a rib cage injury. He's just back from a minor league rehab assignment, and so this is his first game back. We'll see what Gomez can do for the Astros. And there he is. The Diamondbacks take the field, and we are just about ready for the opening pitch here. As soon as this one is over, the D-backs are on a plane 2 games in Houston, and then the weekend against the Cubbies at Wrigley Field in Chicago. D-backs trying to get their luck turned around against these Astros. Houston has gone 8-3 versus Arizona since it moved to the American League. So a chance to split the 2 games here at Chase Field before we head to Minute Maid Park in Houston for the remaining 2 games of this 4-game set. Your Arizona forward starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks is the left-hander Patrick Corbin. This is Patrick's 11th start this season. Had his ERA for the year down just below 4 in his previous start, but he lost at Pittsburgh. That was last Thursday.
Yeah, thanks to Garrett Cole, starting pitcher for the Pirates that day. Had a good day at the plate, hit a home run, also had a double in that ball game. And Patrick, other than that, pitched pretty well in Pittsburgh against that strong Pirates lineup.
Yeah, did not get a whole lot of run support. It was the first time in 3 starts that Patrick failed to complete at least 6 full innings. Let's take a look at the Diamondbacks around him. Our eye on defense for the D-backs is brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Familiar territory today for Michael Bourne out in center field. That's where he's played most of his career. Yasmani Tomas will be in left, Brandon Drury in right. It'll be Jake Lamb and Chris Owings on the left side of the infield today, with Gene Segura and Paul Goldschmidt on the right side. Chris Herman doing the catching today for left-hander Patrick Corbin.
The crew chief, Jerry Meals, is our plate umpire this afternoon. He's got the balls and strikes. George Springer will lead it off for the Astros. Their lineup has really done well since Springer was put at the top and Jose Altuve was moved into the 2-hole. A.J. Hinch did that about a week ago, and they've only lost once since they made the move.
Over the course of his career, Springer has hit that leadoff spot 54 times, has an on-base percentage close to 390. Doesn't run probably as much as you would like a leadoff hitter to run as far as stealing bases, but he is a good base runner, and with the lineup they have behind him, you don't have to steal a lot of bases.
Springer has 13 hits and 31 at bats since he was moved into the leadoff spot last week. He steps into the right-hand batter's box against the left-hander Patrick Corbin. We are set to go the D-backs and the Astros on a Tuesday afternoon in downtown Phoenix. Glad you're with us on Fox Sports Arizona. First pitch is driven deep to left center field, and that'll go all the way to the wall. George Springer stops at second with his 9th double.
Now this Astros offense doesn't let you ease into a ball game. First pitch, strike inside part of the plate, and Springer is all over it into the gap in left center field. Some work to do right away here in the first inning. Try to pitch around that leadoff double.
And now you'll deal with Jose Altuve, who is 6th in the American League in hitting at .325, and he's got 9 homers. Also 15 stolen bases to lead the league, so keep him off the bases if you can. Nice stop back there by Chris Herman, and it's ball 1. Jose Altuve this year has become a much more patient hitter. He's walking more than twice as often as he did last season. In fact, he's already only 7 walks shy of matching his total from all of last year, so you've got to throw him strikes.
In the past, patience was never a virtue for Jose Altuve. He's got a bat in his hands, he's going to swing it, but as you said, being a little more selective this year, taking those base on balls.
Yeah, before he would be one of those guys who swung at anything because he could hit any pitch anywhere, kind of like Vlad Guerrero. He could high, low, inside, outside, didn't matter. He would swing at the unhittable pitch and oftentimes hit it, but this year he's not doing that. And with the idea that you've got Carlos Correa on deck behind Altuve, that really works for Houston and A.J. Hinch. They think you're sort of making you pitch to their guy here. He fouls that one away, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Altuve, boy, I mean, he's just he's exhausting.
He's a pest. He is. I mean, he was a pest before when he was a very aggressive swinger, but now that he's making you work and throw strikes, he has become a world-class pest. And no sign of trying to hit the ball to the right side here. You know, they just want Altuve to pick a pitch and try to drive Springer home rather than just move him up 90 feet.
He's got something in his eyes here. More than his usual routine with a batting helmet and the gloves and the bat and the whole thing.
Really impatient in that batter's box, but you rarely see a hitter take his bottom hand off the bat. And once you get that grip and you've got the pine tar and you got that bottom hand locked in, most hitters don't like to let go of the bat the way Altuve does as he's waiting for Patrick to throw the next pitch.
Yeah, he sets it down against his hips, does the helmet, the gloves, picks the bat back up, and off we go. But he's in the box the whole time, and that fits the rules. That's what you're supposed to do. You can do what you want as long as you're standing in the box with at least 1 foot. But now that he's fouled off that pitch, he has free reign to go through the whole routine one more time. Altuve had a pair of hits yesterday, including an RBI triple. And he's had 9 hits in his last 5 games. That's right to Owens at shortstop. It hit him, and that's the out.
Boneheaded base running play there by George Springer.
Yeah.
You have a batted ball in fair territory, hits a runner, you're out. And Springer runs right into that baseball. I think CO was going to try to make the play at third anyway, by the way he was setting up, getting ready to receive that ground ball.
I believe that scored as 6 unassisted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Closest defender to the play when the runner was hit by the ball.
And then a single for Altuve brings up Carlos Correa. Correa 250. He's got 8 home runs and a pair of hits and RBIs yesterday. Evan Gattis behind the plate and in the cleanup spot is on deck. They have recently moved Gattis back from DH and outfield duty to behind the plate. American League leader in stolen bases at first. That one misses, and it's 2-0. Carlos Correa starting to produce more consistently after a slow month at the plate. But he still hit only about 200 over his last 20 games. Corbin behind 3-0. Correa somehow, this was a kind of remarkable. He does not have an extra base hit against a left-handed pitcher this year.
Wow, that's odd.
He's hitting under $190 versus lefties this season. 3-0 from Corbin is in there for a strike. I mean, you would think this guy would just crush left-hand pitching, but he's at 189 versus lefties. He walked him. So first and second, 1 out for El Oso Blanco. The catcher Evan Gattis, who had the day off yesterday. Caught all 13 innings Sunday in Anaheim. He's in there at 243 with 5 homers. Deadly power if you make a mistake to this guy, but he's been striking out a ton lately. He will chase. Altuve is the runner at second and Correa at first. Now, we showed you the numbers on Correa, righties, lefties. Gattis is a very different story. Very tough on left-hand pitching. Over 340, including 3 of his 5 homers. Patrick falling behind in counts. 14 pitches so far and more balls than strikes. Three and 0.
Jerry Meals notorious for his tight strike zone, and so far here in the top of the first inning, that's proving to be true. Couple of borderline pitches that perhaps could have gone Patrick's way, but now falling behind 3-0 to the second hitter in a row.
Drives it to center field. That's going to get over the head of Baltimore, but he runs it down. He reaches up and pulls it out of the The former Astros Golden Glover. What a play in left center.
And we mentioned it when we gave you the lineups. Michael Bourne, that's the position he's most comfortable playing. He will play some right, he will play some left, but he's a center fielder by trade. He covers a lot of ground and needed to on this play. Took away extra bases.
And saved at least one run, perhaps two. So 2 down now for Corbin. And he'll face a guy that seems to be a mirror image of Evan Gattis at the plate anyway. It's Tyler White. Same sort of look, same sort of stance. 235 and 7 home runs.
El Oso Blanco was what the white,
the white bear.
The white bear, and this is Tyler White. Is that coincidence?
See, I like what you've done there. Except for the batting gloves, they're very similar hitters. They will each swing and miss a lot, but when they connect, it will go. White had a couple of singles yesterday. Well, he really hangs out over that plate. Big, strong guy. He homered in 3 of his first 5 career major league games to start the season, but since then Tyler White has hit about 180. And teams have been getting him out by pitching him up and away. He will swing and miss a lot.
Could use one of those right now.
Big time.
That's a pitch that Edwin Escobar had a lot of problems with last night. That back foot slider, unfortunately, he hit a couple of the Astros on the back foot with that pitch. Just couldn't keep it in or around the zone consistently enough for the Astros to respect that pitch.
Well, he's got to figure it out. He is scheduled to pitch Saturday at Wrigley Field, Edwin Escobar. 1-2 on Tyler White. Didn't get the call from Jerry Mails, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Patrick now a 20 pitch first. Tried to get him to chase that high pitch, but he laid off.
He leaned back like the ball was off the plate inside. You could clearly see it was just above the strike zone. Sometimes that body English will help an umpire make a call. That's why you'll see guys jump out of the way of a pitch that's maybe a half an inch off the inside corner.
Are you saying the boys in blue may be influenced by body language or other outside elements?
Come on.
No.
How could that happen?
I'd be stunned. 2-2. Staying alive. Reaches out and lifts that down the right field line, but it's pushed foul and it stays 2-2. Tyler White proving a tough out. Talked about this guy yesterday, a 33rd round draft pick out of Western Carolina only 3 years ago, but he has come up quickly through their minor league system. And he's essentially won the first base job. One more time on 2-2.
Segura snuck in behind the runner at second base, anticipating a pickoff throw. Patrick a little late reacting to it, just stepped off, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. Let your defender get back into his position, start over again.
Just does get a piece of that one. We'll keep going. This time he did chase the high one.
Just got a piece of it. Heads up back there. Boy, everybody reacts back there behind home plate on a foul ball. Should be protected. There's a net and some plexiglass, but everybody hits the dirt nonetheless.
See that first one coming at you, makes you nervous. Man. This is a big league at bat from the 25-year-old rookie.
Just does get a piece of it. I mean, so close to swinging and missing on at least a couple of these foul balls, but running the pitch count up on Patrick. The next delivery will be number 25 here in the first inning.
Corbin finally wins the battle. He strands 2 and keeps it scoreless. Diamondbacks coming up against Lance McCullers. Extending their Memorial Day weekend for this Tuesday afternoon game against the Astros. And your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for Houston is 22-year-old right-hander Lance McCullers, the youngest active starting pitcher in the major leagues. He began this season on the DL, so he's made only 3 starts. He beat the Orioles last Thursday. In that ball game, McCullers struck out 10 and walked 6.
His average fastball sits right around 93 miles an hour. He can't get into the upper 90s on a good day. Has a curveball and a straight changeup that he'll use as well.
Saw him start the last game of the year here at Chase Field last season. Gene Segura leads it off.
Watch out.
Segura hitting .308. He's got 5 homers. One more look.
Gene has had to do that, unfortunately, way too often lately.
Another one up and in.
Seems like the book on him is to try to jam him inside, especially early in the count. Unfortunately, a couple of those have clipped him, one in the helmet.
Gene, the hitting machine, an RBI triple yesterday. Look out! Self-defense, 1 down.
Gene Segura, after getting knocked off the plate with the first 2 pitches, tries to knock McCullers off the mound with a line drive, but the young man gets a glove up in time to make the play.
Take a look at the lineup for Chip Hale's D-backs.
See Gene Segura at the top, Michael Bourne digging in right now, Paul Goldschmidt at first base, Jake Lamb at third, Brandon Drury out in right field, Chris Herman will be doing the catching, Chris Owings at shortstop, Yasmani Tomas in left field, and Patrick Corbin on the mound.
1-0 to Michael Bourne. Trying to bunt for a base hit. Valbuena back at third. And Bourne beats it out. It rolls away from White. And he'll stay put at first. A bunt single for Michael Bourne, who was 0 for 4 yesterday.
Nicely done. Mark Balbuena wasn't able to get that ball up into his fingertips to make that throw to first base. You could clearly see he had it cradled down in the palm of his hand, was really searching for a grip before throwing on to first base, and Michael Bourne able to leg it out for a bunt hit.
Paul Goldschmidt, 258 and 10 home runs. Time now, Bob, for your Valley Honda dealers. Key to the game.
Yeah, you can put it however you want. Lace them up, put on your track shoes, whatever. Evan Gattis behind the plate has only thrown out 1 attempted base stealer this year, and Lance McCullers on the mound can get very slow to the plate. I look for the D-backs to run every chance they get.
Bourne 3 for 3 this year in his stolen base attempts. He holds that time, and Goldie's ahead 2 balls and no strikes. Evan Gattis came up as a catcher in the Braves system. He was converted into an outfielder, mostly a DH, by the Astros, but earlier this season they decided he should go back there and catch, so he went to the minor leagues, spent about a week down there, refamiliarized himself with the catching position, and now here he is at a refresher course in the minors at Corpus Christi. Goldie hit one into the pool yesterday, his 10th of the season, and a second home run in 3 games. He's hit safely in 5 straight. Michael Bourne put up some big stolen base numbers with the Houston Astros. A 61 steal season, a 52 steal season in Houston. 2-1 to Goldie. This was Goldie yesterday. Everybody clear the pool.
Yeah, we were talking about it in the open of the show. Goldie has been getting his hits over the past couple of weeks, but a lot of them we're seeing high ground balls or soft line drives, but with the last few ball games, it's starting to make that noise again. Line drives over outfielders' heads into the pool.
That was the trademark Goldie hit. That one got him in the foot. Foul ball, and it's a full count.
Yeah, you see he's got that protective guard on top of that left foot. That only absorbs so much. That one actually got him on the inside of the shoe. And even that pad on top of the foot only absorbs so much of the impact of the baseball hitting off your foot. Apparently he's had a few fouled off that particular area.
Got those teal shoes on this Teal Tuesday. Diamondbacks wearing the home alternate jerseys as part of the evolution. 3-2 pitch to Goldie. Here goes Bourne, and Goldie hits it right into right field. Michael will take the turn and hit for third. They're on the corners with 1 out. That one almost got Bourne.
It's a little more understandable to get hit by a line drive like this other than a ground ball that hit Springer back in that first inning. Perfectly executed hit and run that time. Altuve covering the bag at second, leaving that big hole on the right side of the infield, and Goldie took advantage.
Big opportunity right here with 1 out for Jake Lamb. Another guy who homered in yesterday's ball game for the Diamondbacks. You've got Bourne at third and Goldschmidt at first. Lamb at 280 with 8 home runs. His home run yesterday, his second homer in 4 games. There's a strike 0-1. This was Jake Lamb's home run in the series opener. Off right-hander Colin McHugh. Base hit. Bourne will score. Goldie is going to hit for third. It's an RBI single for Jake Lamb and a 1-0 D-backs lead. Stay hot, Jake. He's hit safely in 9 straight.
Well, the Astros didn't do anything to make Patrick Corbin feel comfortable on that mound in the top half of the inning, and the Diamondbacks returning the favor to Lance McCullers here. Don't let him settle in out there. Put the pressure on him right away.
3 straight singles have made it 1-0. Here's Brandon Drury. Brandon, the start in right field this afternoon, hitting .292 with 8 home runs. Brandon singled and scored a run yesterday as a pinch hitter. That one rolls away from Gaddis. Lamb will move up. Goldie stays put.
Spiked over there in that left-handed batter's box. Gaddis basically blocked that with his throwing arm. The only body part he could get in front of that wild one was his right arm, and knocked it over into that on-deck circle, allowing Jake Lamb to move into scoring position.
And a 2-0 count on Brandon Drury. Three balls and no strikes. Chris Herman is on deck. He walked him. The bases are loaded. Let's quickly take a look at the Astros defensively. Our eye on defense for Houston is brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Left to right across the outfield, it'll be Marisnik, Gomez, and Springer today. Luis Valbuena at third, Carlos Correa at short, Jose Altuve at second, with Tyler White at first, Evan Gaddis catching, and Lance McCullers, the right-hander, on the mound.
Brent Strom, the pitching coach, is out there. McCullers has a mess on his hands. Bases loaded, 1 out, and 1 run already in.
Now batting, catcher, Chris Herman.
Big spot for the Herminator. Chris Herman catching today. And Chip Hale admitted after the game the other day it's going to be very difficult to keep Chris's bat out of the lineup the way he's hitting. He's earning at bats, and they need to get more of them.
Especially with runners in scoring position, hitting .421, 8 for 19 with runners in scoring position this year. And 6 of those 8 hits have gone for extra bases. Right guy, right spot.
Goldie at third, Lamb at second, Drury at first. In there for a strike, 1-1. Chris Herman batting .308 on the year. 5 homers. He's been a real run producer lately. 19 RBIs in 29 games. Big cut at that one, and it's 1-2.
It's a harder breaking ball from McCullers that time. Started at the bottom of the zone, broke it down into the dirt. Make him get it up.
Here's a bouncer to Altuve. They get 1. Herman is safely aboard. Lamb safe at third. Goldie scores, and it's 2-0 Diamondbacks.
It's not pretty, but it's effective. Got another run on the plate there. Slow ground ball hit to second base with that pole shift on. Correa came at the bag from an awkward angle. Tried to throw behind Jake Lamb over there at third base, but Jake's way too smart for that.
Chris Owings, CO, getting the start at shortstop today. .292 and 2 home runs. 0 for 3 yesterday. He's got Lamb at third and Herman at first, 2 outs. Well, just like Patrick Corbin for the Diamondbacks, Lance McCullers has had a very workmanlike first inning. Approaching 25 pitches, swing and a miss, and it's 1-1. McCullers was bothered by recurring right shoulder soreness throughout spring training, had to be shut down when the season opened. Didn't make his first start this year until the middle of May. Missed inside. Owings is ahead, 2 balls and 1 strike. Missed away, 3-1. Yasmani Tomas would be next. Good pitch, but just missed.
Not a strike, but that's a good pitcher's pitch right there. Good eye that time by Chris Owings not to offer it that slider just off the corner.
He walked him. The bases are loaded for Tomas. Second walk in the inning issued by Lance McCullers.
Left fielder, number 24.
And Yasmani Tomas is due. El Tanque 259, 6 home runs. He started yesterday, went 0 for 3, couple of strikeouts. Right now he is stuck in a 3 for 34 at the plate. There's the strike, 0-1.
McCullers throwing a lot of breaking balls here as he's got traffic on the bases, both the curveball and the slider. That one dipped just below the zone.
Late time granted by plate umpire Jerry Meals. Evan Gattis was asking for it, but McCullers was about to throw that ball. So we'll reset on 0-1. More balls than strikes so far for McCullers. Tomas right now stuck in an 0 for 15. He is due to drive one into a gap here. This does make contact, and it's 1-2.
McCullers has almost completely abandoned his fastball here. As the Diamondbacks have gotten runners on base, he's gone more and more to the slider and the curveball.
He's got that 4-seam fastball that's averaging 94 miles an hour this year. Loves that big hard curveball. 1-2. Got him. So the Diamondbacks leave them loaded, but they get 2 with some small ball.
Up 2-0 as we head to the second. I'm Kate Longworth. Well, the calendar will read June tomorrow, but for the players, it's feeling a lot like spring training, they tell me, playing 7 afternoon games in a span of 8 days. Now, the consensus in the clubhouse is there are a lot more night owls than there are morning people. However, the players reassured me they are able to make this transition a lot easier because there are so many day games in a row. They're able to establish new routines, and they are enjoying those dinners at home with the family. Daniel Hudson told me it'll be fun for a week to pretend they're a Cubby player, but I can confirm there's a lot more coffee drinking happening. A lot of Starbucks and Dunkin' Donut cups in the clubhouse, and as Jake Lamb told me, guys, they are crushing the coffee this week.
Definitely in spring training mode here, that's for sure, with this run of day games, as Luis Valbuena leads off the Houston second against Patrick Corbin, who's got a 2-0 lead. That's bunted foul, and it's 0-2. D-backs have the shift on here for Valbuena. I can't remember a time, BB, where he had a run like that. I think it's 8 games in 9 days during the day here, right in the middle of the season.
I can't recall. Even when I worked in Chicago, we didn't have runs like that.
Just a fluke of the schedule. You've got the Memorial Day game, obviously. You need the getaway day game here because we fly to Houston as soon as the game is over. Play an afternoon in Houston, then 3 over the weekend at Wrigley Field. Missed inside, and it's 2-2 on Valbuena. 226 and 5 home runs. He's been their primary third baseman this year, and he's hitting lefties fairly well this season. So he's in the lineup today. Sat out yesterday. And Patrick has worked the count full 3-2. He's walked 1 already. Got him. Second strikeout for Patrick Corbin. 1 down in the second.
Valbuena with a big hack right there. He kind of fits the mold of what the Astros are looking for. They don't really mind if he strikes out a bunch, which he will do over the course of the season, but he'll hit his share of home runs and extra base hits, draw the occasional walk.
It is amazing how the Astros, who are considered a very sabermetrically inclined team, maybe #1, were an all or nothing team many ways last year. It was either a strikeout or a home run, it seemed. Here's Gomez, just back from the DL.
And you always have to be aware of the bunt for base hit with Carlos Gomez at the plate. Even though he's just coming off the DL, he's second among active players in bunt hits. Michael Bourne also on that list, #4. Eric Ibar leads the way with 107, Gomez with 87, Ichiro with 81, and Michael Bourne with 75.
You see Lamb well back at third. It's been a miserable season for Gomez. He's hitting 182 without a home run. Just activated from the DL before the game today. He's been out for a couple of weeks with a left rib cage bruise. Did play 5 rehab games at AA Corpus Christi. He chases that one. That's the way the season has gone for Gomez. 3 straight strikeouts for Corbin, 2 down in the second.
Well, very few opposing players feel any sympathy for Carlos Gomez. This is a guy that's not afraid to rub it in your nose when things are going good for him and his team. A lot of people are savoring his struggles.
That has been the word. Jake Marisnick, who was in center field yesterday, he moves over to left with Gomez back. 169 and 1 homer. That's hammered right by Lamb. A rocket down the third base line. Marisnick, who doubled yesterday and scored twice, has another double with 2 outs in the second.
Screamer hit right down that third baseline. That ball drifted back on the inside part of the plate. You can see Jake Lamb, by the time he dove, the ball was already past him down into that left field corner.
5th double on the year for Jake Marisnick. In scoring position with 2 outs for the pitcher Lance McCullers. A right-hand thrower, a left-hand hitter.
Pretty healthy hack right there.
Lance McCullers is out of Tampa, Florida. 1st-round pick out of high school there by the Astros in the 2012 draft. Just 22 years old. He'll be 23 in October. If the name Lance McCullers sounds familiar, that's because it should be. There was another Lance McCullers. It was his dad. Played 7 years in the major leagues, mostly in the late 1980s. Knocks that one into left. They're going to stop Marisnik at third. Tomas gets it back in there quickly. Gary Pettis puts the brakes on. So they're on the corners with 2 down for George Springer.
That's something to file away for future reference. When you play the Astros, Lance McCullers can swing the bat. He had a good rip at the first pitch. Ropes that ball into left field. His first career base hit. He looks like a hitter. Hey, you mentioned his father, Lance McCullers. He was a hard thrower.
Yeah, pitched for the Padres, the Yankees, the Tigers, the Texas Rangers. Springer doubled to lead off the ball game and literally ran into an out. The ball hit him as he was moving from second to third. High fly ball, deep right field. Drury has room at the wall, and it's gone. And so's the glove. George Springer. That's his 12th. And the Astros take a 3-2 lead. Boy, he is red hot right now from that leadoff spot.
3 hits last night. That's his second hit of the day, both going for extra bases. He doubled leading off the game, and now a 3-run homer to the opposite field. Boy, just a center cut in middle of the plate fastball. Swung a little bit late, but got the barrel on it. And just out of the reach of Brandon Drury out there in right field.
Lost the ball and the glove. So Springer has seen 2 pitches today. He's doubled and homered. All of this with 2 outs in the inning. Here's Altuve. He singled his first time. That one's foul. That's the 11th home run given up this year by Patrick Corbin. This is his 11th start. Two balls and 1 strike on Jose Altuve. Right to Lamb. Jake's got it. But the Astros get 3, all with 2 outs. They lead at 3-2. Astros 3-2. The Gig Life high-speed highlights presented by Cox. Diamondbacks got their runs in the first spot, playing some small ball.
Yeah, a little small ball bunt base hit by Michael Bourne, and Goldie on a perfectly executed hit and run chases him around to third base. Jake Lamb scalds a base hit into center field. A couple of walks after that.
Carlos Correa throws out Corbin. 1 pitch, 1 out from McCullers in the second. Yeah, that was 2-0 Diamondbacks after 1, but George Springer's 3-run homer has made it 3-2 Houston. And now McCullers will work to Gene Segura, who hit one right back at him the first time up. You were mentioning Lance McCullers' dad, Lance McCullers. Did you face him?
I'd have to look at this sheet. I imagine I probably did if he was there in the late 80s.
Yeah, with Padres.
Let me check my cheat
Or maybe
sheet
as a
here.
Blue Jay. He pitched for the Yankees and Tigers.
Well, I never
Texas
played
Rangers.
for the Blue Jays.
Well,
So.
you may have seen him pitch from the bullpen.
It would have to have been a simulated game early in the afternoon. Let's see what we got here.
Well, the Sun is certainly a hard thrower. 94 miles an hour. Big curveball. He's got a. You've got. What have you got there, buddy? Your resume?
Cheat sheet. No, I got this years ago. A gentleman gave me all my numbers against every pitcher I ever faced in the big leagues.
You're
So,
cheating on the test.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of them. I can't remember all this stuff. Come on. Lance McCullers. You don't want to know.
Uh-oh.
0 for 7 with 3 strikeouts. I did walk 4 times against his dad, but didn't have a lot of luck making contact.
Hang with him.
Hang with him.
2-2 to Segura.
Yeah, I've drugged it's like the Dead Sea Scrolls. I've carried these everywhere I've ever been.
Altuve. Couple of ground ball outs for McCullers open up the second. That brings up Michael Bourne.
Who needs a database when you can carry around scraps of yellowed paper?
Get off my lawn. Bourne a bunt single. He scored a run his first time up. Valbuena will come in from third. That's a ball 1-0. Michael, as we mentioned yesterday, parts of 4 seasons as a Houston Astro. He's a Houston native, in fact. Was an all-star there. Won a couple of Gold Gloves with Houston as well. 1-2. Got him. There's your shutdown inning from Lance McCullers. Gets the 3-2 lead and goes 1-2-3. Top third coming up. Prostate Cancer Foundation Chairman Michael Milken is with us, representing the world's leading supporter of prostate cancer research. And we understand we get to visit with you every year, but you're starting off your tour with us here at Chase Field.
Well, I have also got my Arizona hat on today.
It looks good.
For this, and we've seen some of the most famous home runs of all time in this ballpark.
What one stands out to you?
Well, it was in batting practice, McGuire.
Oh, that's the one you always talk about.
Out the windows, yeah.
That was
Carlos
amazing,
Correa.
wasn't it?
Oh, it really was.
And Bob, you might remember, I mean, there must have been 30,000 people, 40,000 people in the ballpark for batting practice.
Batting practice,
It was just an amazing thing to see that day. But Arizona's been a huge supporter, and probably the best news since we started this program with Major League Baseball, Fox, the Arizona Diamondbacks, is the death rate.
Base hit for Carlos Correa.
The death rate from prostate cancer has dropped by 80% from projected levels and 50% from the actual levels when we started this thing. And
wow,
there's 6
remarkable.
new drugs approved, and we raised $45 million from home runs hit. And everyone hit today will be $25,000.
That's all part of the home run challenge, but PCF has done so much great work worldwide. I read over $660 million has been raised.
That is correct. In 20 countries, research is going on, and there's a 99+% chance that you'll live 5 years and longer if you're diagnosed with prostate cancer, probably higher than any other cancer, because of this work and the benefits of Major League Baseball.
It's been a great partnership, and it's
no question about that.
The results speak for themselves. That's remarkable.
Well, and I think the idea behind the game was keep dad in the game, come out to the ballpark, and remind your dad, your brother, your friend to get checked for prostate cancer.
Swing and a miss there from Evan Gattis, 2-1. We're speaking with Michael Milken, the Prostate Cancer Foundation chairman, who is kicking off his annual home run challenge with us here at Chase Field. The Diamondbacks, this is a very important cause for this organization.
It sure is. You know, your owner has had prostate cancer, as has the president. And they've both been really big supporters of the effort. And this year, anyone can go to homerunchallenge.org, learn all about it, pledge for home runs hit. And more than that, we have 2 new programs this year. One, your first game at a baseball game. I don't know if either of you remember your first game, but write us a short story, a couple paragraphs, and the winners go All-Star Game, World Series.
Wow.
Nice.
And the other one is send us in your home run trot, either yours or your favorite home run trot of all time.
On video?
On video.
Oh, boy, you're going to get some great selections there.
Well, I just saw a little one of a young kid.
Tyler White.
Who slid into first, second, third, and he called it fourth, but home. So it's going to be a tough one to beat on this one. But I think if we can commit people to come out and go to homerunchallenge.org, we're going to eliminate prostate cancer as a cause of death.
That's the goal.
Thank you.
You're doing tremendous work. Michael Milken, thank you, sir, very much. We appreciate it.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
Back at Chase Field, 1 ball, no strikes to Paul Goldschmidt, who leads off the Arizona third against Lance McCullers. Oh, it's right through Valbuena. And Goldie's 2 for 2. Our thanks to Prostate Cancer Foundation Chairman Michael Milken, kicking off his home run challenge with us here today at Chase Field. We'll see him on ballparks all over America.
Goldie just squaring up everything right now. Another hard hit ball just absolutely eats up Luis Valbuena. Went right between his glove and his body there as he was trying to get out of the way and catch the ball at the same time.
Jake Lamb now. Jake had an RBI single his first time up. Diamondbacks got 2 in the first. They led it 2-0. Astros countered in the top of the second with a George Springer 3-run homer.
First pitch change up to Jake Lamb. I'll tell you, McCullers gets runners on base. He goes to his secondary stuff almost exclusively.
Astros have the shift on for Lamb. Correa, the shortstop, is on the first base side of second. Valbuena all by himself near the third base bag. Goldie takes off, swing and a miss, and he is out of there. Ron Culpa, the second base umpire. Good throw by Evan Gattis.
Couldn't throw it much better. Right on the money that time. Goldie looked like he had a good jump over there at first base. That's a breaking ball, and Gattis puts it right on the money. Nice quick tag down there by Carlos Correa. I didn't think they had a chance to get him.
Yeah. 0-2 on Lamb. So that erases the leadoff single. It's a squib shot down the left field line in the seats. Well, Jake's got it rolling right now. He's hit safely in 9 straight, 12 of his last 13, and is batting better than .350 during that stretch. But he's down 1-2. He did not go. That's Chris Conroy down there.
You saw Lance McCullers right before he shook off his catcher several times. Did something Kurt Schilling used to do all the time with the batters messing around, digging in the dirt, or looking down to the third base coach for a sign. Just tell the catcher what you want to throw. See, McCullers, I wasn't sure it was a fastball or breaking ball, but he said something to Evan Gattis that Evan didn't understand because he went through all the signs and McCullers shook them all off.
Took 5 pitches to get the right one. Well, as we mentioned, Gattis has just started catching again, only about a week or so ago. So he's not quite in sync with everybody yet.
Yeah, right there. You saw him say it. And Gattis nodded his head, yeah.
Do you ever have anybody do that? You do that with anybody?
Oh yeah, I mean it happens all the time. If you got a pitcher on the mound that wants the pace of the game to pick up, go a little faster, go a little faster. You know, the batter, while he's wasting time in there digging in the dirt or playing with his batting gloves, yeah, just tell the catcher what you want to throw. And Kurt Schilling used to do it all the time. I mean, even in the playoffs, in the World Series, you catch Derek Jeter digging in the dirt in the batter's box. Kurt would just look into Damian Miller, fastball. Fastball away. Just a way to speed up the process.
Well, a long battle there. McCullers gets the strikeout. That's his third. 2 down.
Hey fans, a D-backs home run today means a free jumbo jack tomorrow at participating Jack-in-the-Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
Brandon Drury a base on balls in his first plate appearance. Short hop at third, throws him out. We'll head to the 4th inning at Chase Field. Diamondbacks trail the Astros 3-2.
The 4th, routine ground out to end the inning by Brandon Drury, but I want you to listen in the background to the third base dugout as Luis Valbuena made that play.
They're trying to get him to boot it.
Boot, boot. You know, they make all these noises, and Valbuena looks over and says, nah, that's not going to work on me.
You can't rattle Luis Valbuena.
Wishful thinking on the part of that third base dugout.
And he's leading off the 4th against Patrick Corbin.
Boot.
What did you guys used to yell from the dugout?
That's been universal forever. And that little it's kind of the sound the ball makes when it rattles around your glove and off your chest and off your arm and kick it around a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good. Diamondbacks have the shift on for Valbuena.
This is why umpires wear shin guards.
Oh,
that would have broken his kneecap right there.
Jerry Meals, the crew chief, back there today. 2-0. Patrick has been behind in counts throughout the ball game today, and has constantly had to work from 2-0, 3-1. Been a lot of that. He's walked 1, he struck out 3, given up 6 hits. He's back even 2-2. Chris Owings is all by himself on the left-hand side of the infield at shortstop. That one misses down and in. Full count, 3-2. You see Jake Lamb right in front of second base umpire Ron Kulpa. Carlos Gomez on deck. Second walk for Patrick, leadoff man on in the fourth. Gomez reinstated from the disabled list today after a few rehab games in Double-A, coming off a left rib cage bruise. He struck out his first time up. Only 180 on what has been a miserable season so far for the Astros center fielder. Not surprising that he struck out in his first at bat. Coming into the game today, he had struck out 46 times in 121 ABs. Carlos Gomez. Chris Herman's going to have to walk that one off.
Now Chris Herman has those extensions that go down over the toe of his cleats, but I think that foul ball might have missed the protected areas.
Well, he has a very high volume of those for a guy that's back there a limited amount of time. Gomez shows bunt, pulls back, and it's a ball and a strike. Well, Gomez, when he went on the DL following their game May 15th, he was about as lost as you can be at the plate. 2 for 33 with 18 punchouts. He was literally striking out half the time he was up there. 2-1. That one rolls away from Herman, and Valbuena will get second base. Boy, Patrick has just not been sharp today.
Yeah, really having trouble commanding pretty much everything he's thrown up there. Breaking ball hits way out in front of home plate. Herman gets over there in front of it in good shape. Just takes a hard bounce over to the third base side, allowing Valbuena to advance.
Still nobody out. Now a 3-1 count on Gomez. That's a chopper. Land charges from third. Throw pulls Goldie off the bag, and Gomez is aboard.
Well, you saw Gomez show bunt earlier in the at bat. This is a swinging bunt this time. Jake Lamb comes in, fields it with the glove. That would be credited with a base hit, as that throw did pull Goldie off the bag a little bit, but with Gomez's speed, they figured he was going to leg it out anyway.
So the first two have reached. Valbuena at second, Gomez at first. Nobody out for Jake Marisnick. Marisnick doubled in his first at bat back in the second. That was the start of 3 consecutive 2-out hits for the Astros that ended with George Springer's 3-run homer. Off the mound and into center. That one almost hit Corbin. Valbuena coming around. Goldie will cut off the throw, and it's 4-2. The RBI for Marisnick, who's 2 for 2.
Almost looked like a Charlie Brown cartoon, where Charlie's socks go one direction, his hat and glove all go flying off. That ball hit right back at the feet of Patrick Corbin into center field for an RBI hit.
So the first 3 have reached in the inning. Here's the pitcher, Lance McCullers, who last time up got his first major league hit. A single into left field. Corners crash. Wheel play on. They'll leave second base unoccupied as Owing scrambles over to cover third. And Segura at first. Very good speed on the bases for the Astros. Both Gomez and Marisnick run very well. That time Lamb stays put at third. Owings goes with the runner. Gomez at second. And it's a 1-1 count.
And we've seen the Diamondbacks use that wheel play a little more often recently. Throughout the early part of the season, they just played straight up bunt defense with runners at first and second, where the third baseman reads the bunt. Ideally, the pitcher gets off the mound and fields that third base side. But recently, they've charged the corners. Shortstop breaks to third base. It's the old fake wheel play as Chris Owings breaks toward third base, hoping that Gomez will go with him. That's one danger you have with a fast runner at second base. When you do run that wheel play, if the runner at second reads it quickly, he might attempt to run right along with the shortstop onto third base.
Two and one. It's amazing how many ways there are to defend the bunt.
And a lot of it just depends on the personnel. What kind of speed do the runners have? What kind of speed does the runner at first have? What kind of speed does the batter have? How accomplished a bunter is the guy at the plate? I think McCullers would probably like to take a called strike two and go ahead and swing away.
He chops it high in the air. Corbin's under it. And it worked out for the Astros. They move the runners along, and that's the first out here in the fourth. Hey fans, follow Arizona Diamondbacks baseball live with the MLB.com at Bat app. You can stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video highlights, StatCast news, the whole thing. Just download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and your tablet. George Springer steps up now. He hit a 3-run homer over the head of Brandon Drury in right field his last time up. So far he's seen 2 pitches. He's doubled and homered.
Boy, and in his career against the Diamondbacks, he has done some serious damage. 14 for 26, a couple of homers, 3 doubles. He's driven in 7, all in 7 games.
Gomez at third, Marisnick at second, 1 out. At least he took a pitch this time. 1-0. Springer really heating up right now. He's hitting about .330 in his previous 18 games. That includes 5 home runs, and he's already got 1 more homer today.
Cross up.
Never good when the catcher seems surprised.
No, and this shouldn't happen. I mean, we're 2 months into the season, and granted, you know, Chris Herman hasn't worked with a lot of the starters as much as Wellington Castillo, obviously, but that just can't happen this deep into the season.
Mike Butcher, the pitching coach. Wellington Castillo the day off today.
I mean, fortunately, Chris Herman was quick enough to make the adjustment and make sure that ball didn't go to the backstop. But these kind of communication mistakes that you don't expect to see this deep into the season.
Runners on second and third. A bad time to have a cross up. Oh, Springer's at it again. Reaches down and bloops one in front of Bourne. Everybody had to hold up, and now they move up. Gomez scores, and it's 5-2.
Second baseman.
The first 2 times he was at the plate, he hit the ball right on the screws. This time he hits it right out near the end of the bat, which probably worked out for Springer because Michael Bourne just couldn't get there quickly enough to make the catch. See the indecision on the part of the runners, but Gomez will come home with the 5th run of the game for the Astros.
And now Springer is 3 for 3. He's a triple shy of the cycle. He's knocked in 4 runs. Phone rings in the Diamondback bullpen. You've got Marisnick at third, Springer at first, and still only 1 out. Jose Altuve steps in. He's 1 for 2. He's singled back in the first. Chip Hales does not like what he is seeing, and he's going to make the move right now. This has not been Patrick Corbin's day. He was not sharp from the get-go. The first 3 in the ball game reached against him, and Patrick leaves after only 3 1/3 innings. Jake Barrett coming in. We take a break. Diamondbacks trail at 5-2. Atlantics. Diamondbacks trail the Astros 5-2 in the 4th inning. Or Arizona Federal Credit Union pitching change. It's the rookie right-hander Jake Barrett, 19 appearances, a 2.37 ERA. 17 strikeouts, only 15 hits allowed. He has not worked since last Thursday in Pittsburgh.
Trying to bring some sanity back to this game, put some zeros on the board, give the Diamondbacks offense a chance to try to get back in this game.
He just ran through most of the bullpen yesterday. And going to have to do the same thing here this afternoon. Just one of those days where Patrick did not have it. And the bullpen of the Diamondbacks will try and pick him up here. So Barrett inherits a 5-2 ball game, 1 out. Marisnick the runner at 3rd and Springer at 1st. And the batter is Jose Altuve, who's 1 for 2. Jake Barrett has only given up a 1 run in his last 11 appearances. He has been very good as of late. Altuve sends it out to Tomas. Can't make the diving grab. Marisnick going to come home. And it's 6-2 Houston.
Well, occasionally playing so deep in the outfield is going to bite you, and it gets you. Yasmani Tomas this time playing back there with his heels on the warning track. Knocks that ball down, but the Astros tack on another run.
That's now 10 hits for Houston. They lead at 6-2. Carlos Correa the batter.
It's a team that was hitting like .230 coming into this series. They were dead last in the American League in team batting average. They put 13 hits on the board last night and already 10 here today. We're only in the 4th inning.
Well, we saw the Astros do this to the D-backs a few times last year. When they get going, man, they can roll right over you. Correa has walked and singled. A 3-run Houston second, now a 3-run 4th. 1-1. Terry Meals not biting back there.
Quickness again by Chris Herman. Man, he must feel like a goalie back there today. And just a spiked fastball over in the left-handed batter's box. No chance to shift your weight out there. Just stick the glove out and hope you can knock it down.
Two and two, 5 of the first 6 Houston hitters have reached base safely in this inning. Still just 1 out. 2 and 2 on Correa. Evan Gattis on deck. Carlos Correa, the reigning American League Rookie of the Year, still only 21 years old. He'll be 22 in September. Runners go, and that's ball 4. So the bases are loaded for Evan Gattis. Gattis is flied out and hit into a double play. 0 for 2. Springer's the runner at 3rd. Altuve at 2nd. Correa at 1st. It always seems like when you're facing Evan Gattis, Bob, it's a lumberjack up there. He's just got that lumberjack look to him with the no batting gloves, no pine tar. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
Yeah. Probably doesn't take batting practice in the offseason, just levels an entire forest.
Yes, exactly right. It's like the Revenant. Reaches out. It's off the glove of Barrett. Segura's there. They'll get one. Springer scores, and it's 7-2. Might have had a chance at a double play had Barrett knocked that one down.
Just an instinctive play by a pitcher. When you see that ball coming back toward you, you try to make the play. Unfortunately, tips off the end of the glove, eliminating a chance at a double play to end the inning.
Ninth man to hit in this Houston fourth is the first baseman Tyler White. He has struck out, flied out 0 for 2. Well, we mentioned this. The bullpen, Bob, had to put in a lot of work yesterday after Edwin Escobar left, and it's going to have to do the same thing here today. Delgado, Curtis, Bracho, Colementor all worked at least 1 inning yesterday. Josh went 2. Randall got 5 outs. And the long men have already punched their clocks. Going to have to find some answers to get some innings.
I mean, all those guys you just showed there on the graphic put zeros on the board.
Yeah, did a very good job.
Yeah, I mean, did their job, but as you said, it just took 4 pitchers to finish that ball game last night. Probably going to take the same number here today. Mix and match.
And Chip does not like to use what he calls his big 3 in games where he's behind. Bounce to third for Lamb. Well, 9 men come up for the Astros. 4 of them score. They lead at 7-2.
Bottom half of the 4th inning. The present hasn't been real good, so let's take a look back in history. Brought to you by Geico. The first rainout involving a professional baseball team happens when a heavy rain postponed the Red Stockings tune-up game against the Antioch 9, which was a college ball club. The owner of the Cincinnati Red Stockings at the time, Aaron B. Champion, was a student at Antioch College, so they were playing a warm-up game, and it got rained out.
A college kid used to own the Reds?
Well, he went to college and then later owned the Reds.
That's impressive. Well, we have a roof here, so
Yeah.
they should have had that ready to go.
I don't know why they didn't have it back in 1869. They just weren't thinking.
Chris Herman. So another mountain to climb for the Diamondbacks, down 7-2. They've been out hit 10-4. In a game they led 2-0. Well, it's not like Lance McCullers has been mowing them down here either. Still get to this young man.
And a long delay there as his team batted around in that 4th inning. See if that has any effect on him, sitting over there in that first base dugout as long as he did.
Just 22, the youngest active starting pitcher in the major leagues. He'll be 23 in October. Well, now Herman's fouling balls off himself. Like it's not enough behind the plate. He doesn't take enough of a beating back there.
Another breaking ball working its way down and in, just catches the top part of the baseball and slams it down off his right foot.
Well, Lance McCullers a big hard thrower. That 4-seam fastball at 94. Big hard curveball that he moves around really well. Throws it with kind of a spike curve grip. He'll throw it a lot harder than most curveballs. You'll see it's a big swing and miss pitch for him. So far he's walked 2. He's got 3 strikeouts. Make it 4. Chris Conroy rings him up.
For a guy that has the big fastball that you mentioned in the low to mid 90s, he has thrown a boatload of his secondary pitches already in this game today. Curves, sliders, changeups, especially when he gets runners on base.
Yeah, that changeup comes in at a higher velocity than most do, kind of like Zach Greinke's does. That's a big downward sink as we just saw. Here's Chris Owings. Valbuena. 2 down. Hey fans, the next holiday game here at Chase Field is July the 4th. Be here for the 6:10 p.m. matchup against the San Diego Padres. Stay cool inside air-conditioned Chase Field and relax as the roof opens up for post-game 4th of July fireworks spectacular. That's brought to you by Gila River Casinos. Get your tickets at dbacks.com and we'll see you here at the ballpark for the 4th of July. That'll be a great evening. Tomas over the head of Correa, knocks it into left center. Marisnik over to cut it off, and Yasmani has a 2-out single. Well, Yasmani really needed that hit. That snaps, and 0 for 16. Gosselin will hit for Barrett. Randall Delgado warming up in the Diamondback bullpen. Phil 254 and 1 home run. Gosselin as a pinch hitter this year is batting .320. A short day for Patrick Corbin. Oh, and 2.
It's not always pretty back there for Evan Gattis, but he generally gets the job done. Not a textbook receiver, not a textbook blocker or thrower, but just get it done.
He plays like a big bear back there. Gosselin looks at strike 3. 5 strikeouts for Lance McCullers, and through 4 he's got a 7-2 lead. Diamondbacks trail the Astros 7-2, set for the 5th inning, and here's your chance, fans, to beat the heat. Today's word is surfboard. Log on to foxsportsarizona.com/beattheheat. Enter that word for your chance to win a trip to San Diego for the July 4th weekend. From now through June the 5th, we will give you the word of the day during every game. And when you see it, go to foxsportsarizona.com/beattheheat and enter that word. The more times you enter, the better your chances. The password is surfboard. New pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the right-hander Randall Delgado, 24 appearances, 27 1/3 innings of work, a 4.61 ERA. And as we mentioned a moment ago, Randall threw 1 2/3 innings yesterday. His last 7 appearances have all been scoreless, and for the 2nd consecutive game, that bullpen is going to have to ham and egg it and give the Diamondbacks some innings.
Now Randall with 23 pitches in his inning and 2/3 last night. See how far they want to try to extend him here today.
Luis Valbuena leads off the Houston 5th. Valbuena has struck out, walked, scored a run. He drives this one, gone way back and well over the head of Brandon Drury, the 6th for Luis Valbuena. Delgado throws 1 pitch and it's 8-2. Well, that's one thing that Luis Valbuena does give you. Well, last year he had a career high 25 homers for the Astros, and that's his 6th this year.
I think that's every player's dream, or at least for Luis Valbuena, it was his dream. Like I said earlier, we don't care if you strike out 150 times. Swing that bat, hit the ball up in the seats as often as you can, and we'll take what we get. Crush that one.
Carlos Gomez. Yeah, Valbuena last year, 25 homers, 56 RBIs, both career highs. Jerry Meals and Carlos Gomez have something going on back there.
There was a ball behind home plate that had gotten loose and waiting on the bat boy to go pick it up.
Luis Valbuena. He has streaky power. Last week against the Orioles at Minute Maid Park, Valbuena homered in 3 straight games. 1-2 on Carlos Gomez, reinstated from the DL today. Chases that one. Delgado has a strikeout, 1 away.
Really susceptible to that breaking ball right now, coming off the disabled list. What batting practice he has had has been all straight fastballs, so went after him with breaking pitches that time and made him look silly.
Good day for Jake Marisnick. He has doubled, singled, knocked in a run, and scored 1. This one is hit deep to center field for Bourne. 2 outs.
Pitcher Lance McCullers.
Lance McCullers, the pitcher. Carves that one along the left field line. Tomas will give it a look. He's got it in foul ground. But Valbuena's homer, his 6th of the year, makes it 8-2 Houston. As we start the home half of the fifth, time now for greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. A look around the rest of the National League West. Boy, the Padres just getting dump trucked by the Mariners at Safeco Field, 12-0.
Yeah, it was James Shields starting today for San Diego.
Big game. Jake Peavy will start in Atlanta against Matt Whistler for the Braves. Here's Gene Segura. Segura 0 for 2. Carlos Correa. One away. That'll bring up Michael Bourne.
Center fielder, Michael Bourne.
Jake Arrieta pitching for the Cubs today against the Dodgers, which means we'll get him Sunday at Wrigley Field, providing weather holds and there's no rainouts or anything like that.
That's looking like Patrick Corbin and Jake Arrieta Sunday at Wrigley.
What a good one in Miami tonight. Pirates down there. Garrett Cole taking on Jose Fernandez. Temperature's going to go up in that ball game with all the fastballs you're going to see from those two guys.
Consistent 97s. The other NL West game has the Rockies hosting the Cincinnati Reds. Diamondbacks game and the Mariner game, the only two going on right now across the major leagues. A rare Tuesday afternoon game.
That is somewhat of an oddity because usually the Diamondbacks and the Mariners are the last game to finish. Starting on the East Coast and working their way west, and we're always the late start time along with Seattle.
But not on this current stretch of all these day games. Better get used to it for the rest of the week. Well, Gemma Rose will have you up early anyway.
Oh yeah, she likes to watch ball games. We'll have them dialed up.
BB will be taking the 2 games in Houston off. Tom Candiotti will slide over from radio and take over Bob Brenly's duties. The moral compass, Mike Farron, will sit in on the radio side with the Governor Greg Schulte. A 1-out walk to Michael Bourne. Third walk issued by Lance McCullers. And here comes Goldie, who's 2 for 2.
First baseman, Paul Goldschmidt.
Goldie, a pair of singles. He scored a run. Was thrown out stealing by Evan Gattis his last time on the bases.
Yeah, that
now
combined,
up to 267.
Yeah, the fact that Goldie got thrown out attempting to steal a base, and the fact you're trailing by 6 runs in the game pretty much shuts down the running game. Thought that might be a huge advantage for the Diamondbacks today had the game stayed closer.
Another guy who pitched here yesterday is Silvino Bracho, warming up in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. 1-0 to Goldie. Well, the batting average creeping up. Goldie started today at 258. He's now up to 267, and even that 258 mark was the highest his batting average has been since April 24th. So he is really making some progress here. He's hit safely now in 6 straight games. "14 RBIs in his last 14 games for Paul. But still with more walks than hits this year. He's tied with Bryce Harper for the major league lead in walks. Well, they should be just about even by now, 2-1. Right there, please. That'll work. He's ready to take one right in the target. Well, if McCullers wants to give him a few free base runners, he'll take him down 8-2. He walked Bourne with 1 out. Now behind on Goldie, 3 balls and 1 strike. Missed up and in. Another base on balls for the major league leader. 2 on and 1 out now for Jake Lamb. That's 4 walks for McCullers. Mentioned in his last start against the Orioles, Lance McCullers struck out 10 but walked 6. And Goldie now 1 ahead of Bryce Harper for the Major League lead. Jake, an RBI single in the first. He struck out his last time up. Trying to get right back in this ball game. Astros have the shift on for Lamb. Correa, the shortstop, on the first base side of second. And now Valbuena will come in from third as Brent Strom wants a word. Back-to-back walks. He throws ball 1 to Lamb. Hey fans, the LA Dodgers are coming to Chase Field June 13th through the 15th. Get to all the games for only $25 with a D-backs value pack. The value pack includes a lower level bleacher ticket, a Subway sandwich, and a Pepsi. Get your tickets now for the D-backs and the Dodgers. That's at dbacks.com/value. June 13, 14, and 15. The boys in blue will be in here. 1-0 on Jake Lamb. Bourne at second, Goldie at first. This one is high and deep, right center field. Springer at the wall, and he can't get it. Everybody had to hold up. Jake Lamb surprised to see 2 men standing at second base. He'll have to scamper back with a long single. Jake and Goldie were almost on the bag at the same time there.
Oh, I thought that had home run distance off the bat. Made a good sound as Jake reaches out, pulls a fastball on the outer third back to right center. Springer with a leaping effort right there at the wall. Kind of took his eye off the ball to see where he was at in relation to the fence and missed it.
And the runners had to freeze just to make sure he wasn't going to get it. Look at Lamb. Hello, there's somebody there already. And he's got to scramble back while Bourne stays put at third. So they're loaded with 1 out for Brandon Drury, who was walked and grounded out. Strike 1. Golden opportunity right now for the Diamondbacks. You've got Bourne at third, Goldschmidt the runner at second, and Lamb at first. D-backs got 2 in the first inning against McCullers, but they had a chance to put a big number up there. They left them loaded to end the inning. And now they're loaded in the 5th with 1 down. Valbuena at third. That's a foul ball. Brandon down 1-2.
Just foul. That would have been at least 1 run scored right there.
Right in front of third base on Chris Conroe. Brandon's red hot bat has come back to earth a little bit as the adjustment process continues with both he and the opposing pitchers. Last 20 games he's hit about 260, but those rocket line drives have become a little less frequent.
He's seeing fewer and fewer pitches from the middle of the plate in, where he's been lightning quick all season long. He's had to battle with breaking balls off the outside corner, change ups down, fastballs out over the plate.
3 extra base hits in his last 20 games. Stays alive. It's still 1-2. Yeah, word got around pretty quick. Don't give this kid anything to hit.
Change up. Okay, Lance.
Just did it again.
I don't think he was talking to me, but
his changeup has good downward sink to it. Drury gets a piece. That's pretty impressive that a 22-year-old kid is savvy enough to do that. Mouth what pitch he's going to throw to his catcher like he just did there.
Curveball. I think that's what he said. See the knuckle up in the glove there.
Got Brandon to chase. So that's 6 strikeouts. 2 down now for Chris Herman.
Ball was never in the strike zone.
Catcher, Chris Hartman.
Can't let this opportunity go to waste. Bases loaded, 2 down for Herman, who knocked in a run with a fielder's choice in the first. Struck out his last time up against McCullers. Well, you're right, Bob. McCullers loves his breaking ball, especially that curveball. He's actually this year throwing the curveball almost half the time more than he throws his four-seam fastball.
And especially today when he gets in trouble with runners on base, he sticks that fastball in his back pocket. We haven't seen him throw hardly any in this inning after the walk to Michael Bourne. There was one right.
That got behind Gaddis. Here comes Bourne. Everybody moves up, and it's 8-3.
Overthrows the fastball. Should be a pass ball, but I think they're going to rule it a wild pitch.
Yep, wild pitch charged to Lance McCullers. So now you've got Goldie at third, Lamb at second, 2 outs and a 2-0 count on Herman. 3 balls and no strikes. There is some action in the Astros bullpen. McCullers approaching 100 pitches. Michael Phillies. There's a strike, 3-1. Full count. How about that? Loves that curveball. Twice as much as any other pitch. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Got him. Diamondbacks strand 2. They can only get 1 run across, and through 5 they trail the Astros 8-3. Vino Bracho, 23-year-old right-hander, on for the 2nd game in a row. Since his latest recall from Reno, Bracho has made 2 scoreless appearances. He worked yesterday. His 5th big league appearance of the year in his 3rd stint with the Diamondbacks at this level. And he'll get the most troublesome bat in the Astro lineup today. George Springer will lead off the Astros 6th. And Springer is a triple shy of the cycle. He's been a problem.
It hasn't taken him long to do it. Picked on the first pitch of the ball game for a double into the gap in left center. Next at bat, first pitch, 3-run homer to the opposite field, and then a lousy single into center.
It's the top of the order. Yesterday, Springer, Altuve, and Correa, 1, 2, and 3 were 6 for 13. So far today, they are a combined 6 for 7. Brandon Barnes against Seattle the last Astros cycle back in July of 2013, nearly 3 years ago. And here's Springer, triple shy. Shallow center. Segura's out there. Bourne coming in. And they finally retire Springer one away.
Second baseman.
There's Jose Altuve. Out of Maracay, Venezuela. It's tough to find baseball equipment in Maracay as a youngster. One day for Christmas he got a bat and a glove, but he didn't get a baseball, and baseballs were hard to come by in his neighborhood. So they had to figure out a system to get some baseballs so they could play. What they do is go to the nearby Venezuelan League Stadium, not to watch the games, but to try and get some balls so they could practice. They weren't interested in souvenirs. They needed the baseballs. And many times they'd only have one. Altuve would lose it hitting against his dad, Carlos, who would pitch to him. But now he makes sure that the kids in Maracay have baseball equipment to play with. And he's often, as we said yesterday, compared himself as a hitter to Miguel Cabrera. Same type of approach. And each one does his share of damage. Sometimes they'd have to play with a bottle cap and a stick when they ran out of equipment or they couldn't find a baseball.
Was that in Cincinnati? I believe it was, where Chase Anderson and some of the guys during a rain delay were playing bottle cap baseball in the dugout.
Oh, that became a big thing during some of those long rain delays. Cliff Pennington was the star pitcher, I believe.
Yeah.
He could flick a bottle cap and nobody could hit it. He'd be down there in the hallways. Along the right field line, Brandon Drury. And he's got it in foul ground. 2 fly ball outs for Silvino Bracho. Yeah, you'd stand there about 10-15 feet away, and Pennington would just flick that bottle cap in there. He was unhittable.
Moving both directions. Sinker cutter.
He was always working on his knuckleball when they would warm up for infield every day. Correa now has walked twice and singled. You didn't play any stick ball in Coshocton, did you?
No,
you guys had equipment.
Now we have plenty of open ground. We'd run out of balls from time to time, and there was like a discount store where you could buy these cheap plastic balls, 49 cents. You hit them 2 or 3 times and they end up shaped like an egg, but yeah, you wrap a little tape around it, take a hammer and bang it back to round again and keep using it.
Broken bat. Lamb in front of Owens, and Silvino Bracho works the 1-2-3-6. Diamondbacks trail at 8-3.
By 5 right now as we head to the bottom of the 6th. I'm Kate Longworth. Well, reinforcements are on the way. David Peralta's right wrist is coming right along. He once again took BP with the team today, and then tomorrow and Thursday the outfielder will see action in extended spring. The team plans to give David the day off on Friday and then evaluate whether he will meet the team in Chicago or need a couple of rehab appearances. Chip told me they're looking forward to having Peralta's energy back in the mix and, of course, his big bat.
Yeah, both have been sorely lacking lately, that's for sure. New pitcher for the Astros, the right-hander Michael Phillies, and Chris Owings leads off the Arizona 6th. Phillies, a big dude out there, 6'4", 230. His 3rd stint with the big league club this year. 33 strikeouts in 21 innings. Chris has walked and grounded out. He's 0 for 1. 3 balls and no strikes. Leadoff walk.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
As Manny Tomas struck out with the bases loaded to win the 1st, singled his last time up and was left stranded there. Pitcher spot is up next. Nick Ahmed has come out in the on-deck circle. There's a strike, 0-1.
Keeping an eye on that other game underway right now in Seattle. The Mariners lead the Padres 16-0. There have been 5 home runs hit in that ball game, including 3 3-run homers, and it's only the 6th.
Ouch, babe. Now, that's a fair ball at 3rd. They get the lead runner Owings, but they can't turn 2.
Two long throws as Valbuena goes over near the foul line. That's the first long throw. Chris Owings right on top of Altuve at second base, and Tomas will leg it out at first for a fielder's choice.
So Ahmed will hit for Bracho. Nick, 2-11 and 3 homers. He was 0 for 3 yesterday. Josh Colmenter warming up with the Diamondback bullpen. On the radio, listening to the governor, Greg Schulte and Tom Candiani, just in the radio booth to our right. .95, 1-1 on Nick. Houston's bullpen has performed very well lately. Last 11 appearances by the bullpen, their collective ERA is 1.35. That's over a stretch of 40 innings for A.J. Hinch. One and two.
Well, you mentioned Feliz, a big dude out there on the mound, and he really gets that ball going downhill, takes advantage of his height, gets up on top of that pitch, driving it down to the bottom of the zone.
He's worked scoreless baseball in 8 of his last 9 appearances. Michael Feliz. Lifted in the air to center field. Carlos Gomez. 2 down. Brings up Gene Segura, who's 0 for 3. shortstop. They get the force on Tomas, and that ends the inning. Off to the 7th we go. It's 8-3 Houston.
To the top half of the 7th inning. Hey fans, we invite you to participate in Gila River game nights by signing up at one of the interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game. Two and 4. 1 and 3. You better bring your A game too, because that match game, the fans don't give you a breather. You better get them right.
And the fly ball contest was interesting, as we just saw, as Homeboy was out there barefoot.
Yeah, nice recovery. He missed the first one, but he caught the next two.
New pitcher for the Diamondbacks as we start the 7th, Josh Comenter. 2 scoreless innings in his last appearance, which was yesterday against these Astros. 2 appearances since his return from his minor league rehab assignment after coming up with right shoulder inflammation this spring. Evan Gattis leads off the Astros 7th. He's 0 for 3.
26 pitches yesterday for Josh Comenter.
Well, Chip really likes to stay away from Clippard Hudson Ziegler in a game that is not a Diamondback lead, and he's sticking to that formula again today, even if it means pitching everyone who pitched yesterday in relief. So the bullpen trying to do its part and pick up the rest of the ball club. Doesn't do the bullpen any favors when consecutive starters last only 3 1/3 innings. It was Escobar yesterday and Corbin today. That's tough for any skipper to figure out what to do.
Yeah, a lot of times that will cause you to make a roster move, having to go to the bullpen so early and so often. Gattis draws a leadoff walk here in the 7th.
Escobar yesterday, 7 earned runs on 10 hits in 3 1/3. Patrick Corbin today, 7 earned runs on 9 hits in 3 1/3. Here's Tyler White. Zoom in. That's what it looks like when you're manning the cameras here for Fox Sports Arizona. White's 0 for 3. That's all you. Never came down.
No, somebody must have made a play right above us. Nice round of applause.
Two and two. D-backs on an airplane as soon as this one ends. Two more against these Astros Wednesday and Thursday in Houston. And for the third consecutive game, the Astros will see a left-hand starter, Robbie Ray, on the mound for the Diamondbacks. Mike Fiers tomorrow. That's a 5:10 start here in the Valley. And then 11:10 in the morning Thursday. We play another day game. Zach Greinke and Dallas Keuchel. Interesting matchup there. So 5:10 tomorrow. 11:10 in the morning on Thursday. There's Zach. Zach was signing autographs for a long time there down the left field line before the ball game today. Tell you what, Tyler White has had some long at bats. He may swing and miss a lot, but it might take you 9-10 pitches to get him to miss 3. Gaddis running on the pitch, and White fouls off another one. There's Dallas Keuchel. He'll start Thursday's game. Gaddis takes off again. Hits it right to Owings. They get one, they get two. Double play. Nicely done by Owings and Segura. What's next brought to you by CenturyLink. A look at the starters for the rest of this series. Robbie Ray and Mike Fiers, the right-hander, tomorrow. That's a 4:30 start for Diamondback Live pregame show. 5:10 first pitch. Then 10:30 in the morning. It's breakfast with the Diamondbacks Thursday. Zach Greinke and Dallas Keuchel.
Baseball and bagels. Double plays and donuts.
Luis Valbuena. Got to eat a sinker to hit a sinker.
That's right.
Somebody once said.
Although Mike Fiers, better get ready to hit some high fastballs. He likes to work that fastball across the top of the zone. Really has a high front side in his delivery. Leads with that left elbow and left arm.
Well, the ballpark should be a good fit for the Diamondbacks, a right-hand heavy team. We'll see how much damage they can do down there with that very short left field porch, the Crawford boxes at Minute Maid Park. Shift is on for Valbuena, who homered his last time up. His 6th of the year. Look out, Josh. Puts it right into the shift, though. That's a 5-3 put out for Jake Lamb. And the end of the inning, we stretch at Chase Field. D-backs trail at 8-3. D-backs trail the Houston Astros 8-3. Hey fans, Friday, some of the world's biggest soccer stars converge in the U.S. for the 100th anniversary of the Copa America at All-Stars as USA takes on Colombia Friday. You can see that game 5 o'clock on FS1, or you can watch the entire tournament live on Fox Sports Go. Changes for the Astros. The new pitcher, the veteran right-hander Scott Feldman, who ranks 4th among All-American League relievers in a strikeout-to-walk ratio. A 3.51 ERA, his 14th appearance. Pitcher spot is now 5th in the Astros order. Tyler White is out of the ball game, and the new first baseman is Marwin Gonzalez. Michael Bourne will lead off the Arizona 7th. Diamondbacks have been out hit 11-6. They trail at 8-3. Gonzalez playing first base, batting 9th. Michael Bourne, typical Michael Bourne day. He has singled, struck out, walked, scored twice, and made a tremendous running catch in deep center field very early in the ball game. Took what looked to be a sure 2-run double away from Evan Gattis. Down 0-1. Valbuena a couple of steps in on the grass at third. Bourne bunted for a base hit back in the first.
Feldman started the season in the rotation for the Houston Astros, started 4 games and then found his way down into that bullpen. Wasn't pitching real effectively out of the rotation. Been a starter pretty much his entire career.
Michael Bourne gives this one a ride. Springer's got room to side the track, and that's the first out in the bottom of the 7th.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
Well, Goldie now doing Goldie things a lot more often. He has looked really good the last couple of weeks. 2 singles and a walk today. He scored a run. It's been 20 games since Paul Goldschmidt's batting average dropped to .220 for the year. That was on May 8th. And since then he's hit better than .320. And he's really become that key bat in the lineup they have needed. 17 RBIs in his last 20 games. Down 1-2. The re-election campaign continues for America's first baseman. Don't forget, you can vote for your Diamondback All-Stars up to 5 times a day. I'm told the first set of results for the National League All-Stars will come out tomorrow. Have to see how the D-backs are doing there. Goldie, by the time we get to that All-Star game, his numbers are going to be right about where they usually are if he continues at this pace, Bob. He's really making up for lost time.
No question about it. And given his history and the respect that he garners from managers all around the National League, he just needs to have decent numbers.
Correa can't make the backhand stab. That's a base hit for Goldie. He's 3 for 3.
I mean, even when Goldie was quote unquote struggling, teams still pitched him very carefully. They walked him whenever they had an opportunity to take the bat right out of his hands. They'll get credit with an infield single there, as Correa couldn't come up with it cleanly.
Yeah, he walked once today, leading the major leagues in walks again. 1 on, 1 out for Jake Lamb, who's 2 for 3, a pair of singles. Astros will have the shift on again. They like to put their shortstop in the second base spot and leave Albuena, the third baseman, in the hole between second and third. Oh, and 2. Jake's on a roll as well right now. He's hit safely in 9 straight, 12 of his last 13 games. Gonzalez at first took the force off. They have to apply the tag to Goldie, and they do. Correa gets the glove down. They hit into a double play. That ends the inning. We are through 7. It's 8-3 Astros. That catch that Michael Bourne made in center field off the bat of Evan Gattis in the first. Let's make that our Chaz Roberts air conditioning and plumbing cool play of the game.
Not only had to use that lightning speed, but his reach as well. That ball looked like it was going to get over his head for extra bases, but Michael made up ground with his speed and then stretched out with that left arm to make the play.
Kept the inning scoreless. Diamondbacks led 2-0 after the first inning, but they trail it now 8-3. A rough day for Patrick Corbin, who could go only 3 1/3. Since then, we've seen Jake Barrett, Randall Delgado, Silvino Bracho, now Josh Colmenter out there for his second inning.
21-71.
It's a good-looking hat. Carlos Gomez. Gomez reinstated off the DL before the ball game. He has singled, scored a run, struck out twice. He'd been out with a left rib cage bruise.
How did he get his ribs bruised? Did he get hit by a pitch or diving for a fly ball or something?
It's the kind of thing that happens to him a lot. He's had that injury a number of times over the course of his career. An oblique, a rib. The way he swings oftentimes does it.
No kidding.
Second walk for Colmenter. Second time he's walked the leadoff man in the inning. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Gomez. He's in the final year of his contract, and they have Marisnik here, who does a nice job in center field for them. He's moved over to left. But they're going to have to make some decisions, the Astros, on who plays the outfield, because they are scheduled to face a long list of left-hand pitchers the next week or so. They've already faced 2 to begin this series, another one tomorrow in Robbie Ray. That means opportunity to get Gomez some at-bats. So the question is, who sits? Today it's Rasmus against the lefty. And Rasmus might not play for a while. A.J. Hinch has some decisions to make. Robbie Ray tomorrow's starter. 4:30 Diamondback Live pregame show from Minute Maid Park in Houston. Double play ball here. Owings, Segura. They roll it. Second double play turned behind Josh Colmenter in 2 innings.
Very nicely done. That ball was hit fairly slowly. I didn't know if the Diamondbacks had enough time to turn this double play, but here comes that shortstop arm from Gene Segura again, just in time to get Marisnick, who runs well over there at first base.
2 down for Marwin Gonzalez, who just checked into the game at first base. The switch hitter. He got the start at third yesterday, went 0 for 5. There's a strike 0-1. Gonzalez hitting .219. He's got 4 homers. He's stuck in a 4 for 33 right now. Drives that one toward the right field corner. It's high off the wall. And boy, that is a tough single. Brandon Drury did a great job of getting that one back in quickly. Gonzalez is not going to have too many singles. He hits harder than that.
The ball was absolutely smoked up over the heart of the plate. Gonzalez may have been able to make it to second had he run out of the batter's box, but he was admiring his handiwork, and when it bounces off the fence and Brandon Drury's right there to play the carom, he has to stop at first base.
Yeah, when you're 4 for 33 and you hit one, you should run.
Run.
Yeah. George Springer, a triple shy of the cycle. He's got the big hit in the ball game. A 2-out 3-run homer in the second inning off Patrick Corbin. D-backs had a 2-0 lead at that point. They trailed it 3-2, and the Astros have not looked back. They added 4 more in the fourth, 1 in the fifth. And it's been just about 3 years since the Astros last had a player hit for the cycle.
Well, you'd think that ballpark in Houston would lend itself to the possibility of a cycle. Deep center field, deep gap in right center. Short porch in left. A lot of things working in a hitter's favor to go for the cycle in that ballpark.
It's got that crazy corner in left center where the bullpens are behind that chain link fence there. When the Crawford boxes jut out, you think somebody would pinball one off of there and
rattle around in there long enough.
Have it roll toward the flagpole or something. Gonzalez takes off in an 8-3 ball game in the 8th inning. Now he's running.
Now he runs.
Yeah. Stay hot, Marwin. Two and two. And hit him. Springer in the leadoff spot aboard for the 4th time today.
Second baseman,
That could have been a message after that stolen base up by 5 runs late in the ball game. Just grazed him.
Not sure it did. No challenge. Jose Altuve. 2 singles. He's knocked in a run. Astros were looking for players in Venezuela not too long ago, and a short little guy, a teenager, showed up with his dad Carlos. About a dozen scouts there. They told Altuve, go away. You don't even need to come back. But he kept showing up. And then one day they let him run. He ran a 6.2 60-yard dash. Hit a little bit. And Al Pedrique, who was not there the first day when they sent Altuve away, was watching. He said, I'll give you $15,000. They signed right there. He was in the big leagues at 21. He's been an all-star 3 times and now a Gold Glover. The 3-0 from Josh Colmenter. In the air for Bourne in center field. Bottom 8 on the way. Diamondbacks trail the Astros 8-3.
The bottom of the 8th, a reminder, join us for D-Backs Live, our post-game show right after the game. Jody Jackson alongside Brandon Webb. And Brandon, the struggle so far in the series against Houston, it's not hard to figure when your starter goes 3 1/3 both yesterday and today, right?
Yeah, another shorted outing by Patrick Corbin today, putting Chip Hale in another position, trying to figure out his bullpen. We'll see if they can't score a few runs to get themselves back in this game.
Certainly that is what they'll try to do, down by 5. Guys, again, post-game show coming your way right after the game.
All right, guys, thanks very much. Brandon Drury, ball 1, leads off the 8th inning against Scott Feldman. Feldman back out there for his 2nd inning in relief. Brandon walked in the 1st. He is 0 for 2. And he strikes out. First strikeout for Feldman. There is good news from the farm today. I want to congratulate left-hand pitcher Cody Reed, who was a 2nd-round pick by the Diamondbacks 2 years ago out of Ardmore High School in Alabama. Big lefty, 6'3", 245. He's only 19 years old. He'll be 20 coming up in June, but he was promoted today from Kane County up to Visalia. So he'll go there and pitch for J.R. House and the Rawhide. Chris Herman now. Cody Reed is a name to watch in the Diamondbacks minor league system. Carves that one the other way, just missed it. Cody Reed this year at Kane County, which is a low A, Visalia is high A. Kane County in the Midwest League. Made 7 starts, went 5-2 with a 1.82 ERA. So he's headed to the Cal League, which is a hitter's paradise, I'm told.
Well, some of the ballparks, yeah.
And the numbers that really jump out at you for Cody Reed. He's worked, well, let's call it 40 innings, 39 2/3. So in 40 innings, he's got 55 strikeouts and 3 walks.
Wow, that's Clayton Kershaw-like.
So that'll get you promoted. So congratulations to Cody Reed. And as the Diamondbacks proved with Zach Curtis, now you're not going to want to do this a lot, but when you're at Visalia, you're a phone call away from the big leagues. He did not go. Zach Curtis was a 6th round pick in that same draft out of Middle Tennessee State, so he's a college pitcher. He's a lot further along than Cody Reed, who was drafted out of high school in terms of the development and the progression. But that's looking so far to be like a good draft for the Diamondbacks.
And physical stuff notwithstanding, some guys are, you know, a little more mature for whatever reason. Their background, where they played, who they played for, and sometimes guys make a big jump like we saw Zach Curtis make.
And it's worked out well. Marwin Gonzalez open covers, 2 down. We are back with you tomorrow. Diamondback Live pregame show from Minute Maid Park in Houston. Comes your way at 4:30, a 5:10 first pitch. Robbie Ray and Mike Fiers. Technically, this counts as 2 series, which I think is
series.
You know, it's a home and home. 2 here, 2 there, but each one is counted as its own separate series. So in theory, here, the Astros are looking at a 2-game sweep to start off this home and home deal. Chris Owings has walked twice, 0 for 1.
Unless they find a way to come back in this ball game, the Diamondbacks will record their 20th home loss this year. 9 wins against 20 losses unless they can come back this afternoon. Not hard to figure out who leads the league in home losses. That'd be the Atlanta Braves. They're 5-21 going into play tonight.
Tyler Clippard warming up at the Diamondback bullpen. Yasmani Tomas is on deck, pitcher spot up after that. So Chip has an arm ready in case this inning continues. Braves are home again tonight against the Giants. Jake Peavy on the mound for San Francisco. Dodgers at Wrigley Field. That series against the Cubs marches on. Rockies are hosting the Reds. Feldman 2 strikeouts in the inning. We go to the 9th. Diamondbacks down 5. Gomez, Jose Altuve, and the Astros lead the Diamondbacks 8-3. Toyota, let's go places. We hit the road right after this ball game. 2 more games against the Astros in Houston, then 3 against the Cubbies at Wrigley over the weekend.
3-game weekend series at Wrigley Field when the weather's nice. That should be a lot of fun.
New pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the right-hander Tyler Clippard. A 2.37 ERA in 20 appearances, 19 hits and 20 strikeouts in 19 innings of work. Tyler last pitched Saturday against the Padres, worked 1 scoreless inning, had 2 strikeouts. It'll work to Carlos Correa, Evan Gattis in the pitcher's spot, 3, 4, and 5 in the Houston 9th. Correa has singled and walked twice. He's 1 for 2. Clippard, the 5th different Diamondback reliever to work in this ball game. After Patrick Corbin could go only 3 1/3. Rough day for Patrick. Just was not sharp. Did not have his stuff. 7 runs all earned on 9 hits in 3 1/3.
And once again, the bullpen has done a nice job today. I mean, Randall Delgado came in and gave up a first pitch home run to Luis Valbuena, but other than that, it's been zeros for the bullpen once again.
One and 2. Diamondbacks had their chances. They scored 2 in the first. They led 2-0 after 1, but they left the bases loaded in that inning. And they had the bases full again in the 5th and only got 1 run across. Zoom ball from Clippard, 2 and 2.
Really overthrew that one.
That's become Chris Herman's trademark move back there, the full leap Spider-Man jump up to get that one.
Out of a dead crouch.
Full count, 3 and 2. Gattis on deck. Leadoff walk. 3rd consecutive inning that a D-backs reliever has allowed a leadoff walk. Correa's aboard. And here's Evan Gattis.
And Josh Comenter managed to get a double play both times after walking the leadoff guy in the 7th and the 8th inning.
3rd time today that Correa has drawn a base on balls. Boy, that Padre game is still going at Safeco Field in Seattle. San Diego trails the Mariners 16-4 in the 8th inning. Kyle Seager has a 3-run homer in that game. Franklin Gutierrez has a home run. Adam Lind has a home run. Matt Kemp has homered for the Padres. Gattis skies one up behind second base. Segura's under it. 1 down. And they're going to let the pitcher Feldman take the at bat.
Pitcher Scott Feldman.
Diamondbacks began play today 9 games behind the Giants in the NL West. San Francisco plays at Atlanta later tonight. Jake Peavy and Matt Whistler in that ball game. Dodgers at Wrigley. They'll take on the Cubs. Kazmir and Arrieta. Diamondbacks are scheduled to get Jake Arrieta Sunday in Chicago. Rockies have John Gray on the mound at Coors Field. They're hosting the Reds.
Last time Jake Arrieta pitched against the boys in blue, he threw a no-no.
Dial up another one.
Why not?
The way he's going. Just getting ready to dominate somebody. Lippert strikes out Feldman, 2 down. Luis Valbuena has walked and homered. He scored twice. Shift is on again for Valbuena.
Maybe Joe Madden will lose his mind and let Jake Arrieta throw about 180 pitches to get a no-hitter tonight.
Pressure's on. Cubbies with the best record in baseball, 35-14. They are 18-6 at home this year. It's a tough place to win. The Astros, where we go next, a 500 team at home this season, 13-13 at Minute Maid Park.
Tyler Clippard really missing up a lot in his outing. So far it hasn't hurt him here today other than the leadoff walk to Carlos Correa. Unfortunately had the pitcher Scott Feldman chasing some of those high fastballs.
One and one. Another one up and away. 2 balls and a strike. Valbuena's found a home in Houston. He bounced around the major leagues for a while. He was a Cub, before that an Indian, before that a Seattle Mariner. Astros picked him up from Chicago before last season in a trade for Dexter Fowler. Valbuena had a good year. Hit 25 homers, knocked in 56 runs, played third base, played first base. Clippard behind 3 balls and a strike. He's walked 1 in the inning already. Full count, 3-2.
Pardon me, remember when the Padres were in town, Andy Green was saying he was trying to find ways to get Christian Bethancourt in the ball game.
Yeah.
Well, he's pitching today.
No, well, 16-4. That'll happen in the 8th inning.
Probably not quite what he had in mind.
They had actually talked about that, I read, in a game a couple of weeks ago, because Bethancourt has a tremendous throwing arm. Valbuena strikes out. Bottom 9 on the way. Diamondbacks down 5. summary, a short day for Patrick Corbin. You see Patrick's pitching line right there. 7 runs all earned on 9 hits and 3 1/3. The top of the Houston lineup has been a problem, led by George Springer, who's a triple shy of the cycle. Altuve has a pair of hits. Correa's been on base all afternoon. And now as we start the bottom of the 9th, Scott Feldman in his 3rd inning of relief in line for his first ever save. The 3-inning save. Yasmani Tomas will lead it off. Pitcher spot is up next, and Ricky Weeks Jr. is in the on-deck circle. Tomas singled in the 4th. He is 1 for 3. Diamondback Live post-game show. Brandon Webb and Jody Jackson follows our ball game. Tomas bangs one into center, a leadoff single. He's 2 for 4. Ricky Weeks Jr.
High fastball. This time he barrels it up with a line drive up the middle of the field. Bunch of base runners here. Keep the line moving.
Weeks 231. He's homered twice. A ball and a strike. Ricky hitting .292 as a pinch hitter this year. 4 doubles and 4 RBIs. A little roller to Altuve, who can't make the play, and everybody's safe. Very slowly hit. E4 on the Gold Glover.
Yeah, slowly hit ball, but he was going to try to turn 2 anyway with that backhanded shovel toss. Fortunately for him, he just didn't look the ball all the way into the glove. Already looking up towards second base and mishandles that ball. Everybody's safe.
Chance for the Diamondbacks to take advantage. Down 5, 2 on, nobody out. Gene Segura, who's 0 for 4. No one throwing in the Astro bullpen. Feldman trying to nail down his first career save. Now Houston will get their relief corps busy down there, with Feldman at 35 pitches, 21 strikes. Should have had a double play ball there, at least 1 out, but now more work to do. Right center field. That one's going to get down and roll to the wall. Here comes Tomas. Here comes Weeks. Here's the throw, and it's not in time. Gene, the hitting machine. It's a 5, and Bob, we've got you some tacos.
Broncos, but we prefer a few more runs. Boy, that is a hanging slider right there for Gene Segura, and he banged it into that gap in right center. Carlos Gomez was playing him shallow and around the left a little bit. That ball rolls all the way out near the pool.
So suddenly, it's an 8-5 ball game. Tying run is on deck with nobody out. Bourne has singled, walked, scored twice. The first three have reached in the Arizona ninth. A.J. Hinch. He's had a reliever warming up for a while in their bullpen. Feldman was trying to nail down his first ever save, get the 3-inning save. But he's made it a little too interesting, and Hinch wants the right-hander. So the Diamondbacks have a threat going. Still nobody out. Down only 3 back after this. The Never Say Diamondbacks. It's an 8-5 ball game in the 9th inning. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Gene Segura chases Feldman from the ball game with a 2-run double.
Just a nice swing that time. Let the ball get deep into the zone. That breaking ball saw it really well. Didn't try to pull it. Most teams shade Gene to that gap in right center, but Carlos Gomez, as I mentioned, was playing shallow and a couple steps into left center. Perfectly split that gap.
Rally caps are working, and A.J. Hinch has had to go to his closer. It's Luke Gregerson, the owner of that big wipeout slider. He has recorded his 12th save of the season in 15 opportunities. Sunday in Anaheim, they traded 5 players to get Ken Giles. He was supposed to be the closer. That has not worked out. Instead, it's been Gregerson who's been getting the job done.
Boy, Gregerson has been death on right-handed hitters, not only this season, but throughout his career. This season, righties hitting 163 against him for his career. That goes up to 194.
Well, the Diamondbacks with no outs now have the tying run on deck. It's Goldie, who's already had his first 3-hit game of the season. Segura at second, nobody out, and Michael Bourne is the hitter. Bourne has singled, walked, scored twice. Valbuena in at third. Ball 1.
Gregerson really works that ball around his glove with a runner at second base. Doesn't want to tip his grip too soon. You'll see him spinning that ball in his hand inside the glove as he looks for the grip he wants. Against the lefty, you're likely to see him throw more fastballs. Against the righty, you see almost all sliders.
That's his big pitch. It's interesting. You look at the notes provided by the Astros. It says that Gregerson has been successful in 5 of his last 8 save opportunities. Or, loosely translated, he's blown 3 of his last 8 saves. So there's some somewhat optimistic news for D-backs fans there. The 1-1 pitch to Bourne. Is there. 2 balls and 1 strike. Oh boy, Jerry Meals back there. You were right. 2 pretty good pitches.
Strike zone the size of a teacup.
Two and 2 on Michael Bourne. Just need 1 more base runner for Goldie. Astros have not retired Goldie all day long. 3 singles and a walk. Gregerson's been here before, longtime San Diego Padre, and has not pitched well here. Strikes out Bourne. 1 down. Tied him up that time.
Here's a slider. Pitch that he generally saves for the right-handed hitters, but tucked that one right underneath the bat of Michael Bourne.
Goldie now with 1 out. 3 singles and a walk. He has scored a run. His first 3-hit game this season comes on May 31st. Slider is in there for a strike. Goldie 14 RBIs in his last 14 games. He's up there with 1 out and Segura at second. One and 1. In there for a strike. 1 and 2. Evan Gattis keeps it in front. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Paul Goldschmidt. Hit one into the pool here yesterday. His 10th of the season. Goldie has homered twice in his last 3 games. Full count, 3 and 2. Jake Lamb on deck. He's the tying run. Dropped it in there, rings him up. Gregerson strikes out Bourne and Goldschmidt 2 down.
Slider away, slider away, slider away, and then a front door slider to end the sequence. Look at all those pitches down and away off the outside corner of the plate below the knees, and then finishes it off with a slider that started right at Goldie and broke over the inside part.
Jake Lamb 8 for 24 with 4 home runs in the 9th inning this year. And here he is so far today, 2 for 4, a pair of singles. He's driven in a run. Ball one. Correa, the shortstop, right behind the runner Segura at second base. Two and 0. Here's a look at the Astros defensive alignment.
Against Gregerson, a 2-0 count to a left-handed hitter, you're just as likely to get a slider as you are a fastball. He has ultimate confidence in that pitch, can throw it for a strike probably as consistently as he does his fastball. Heater that time at 89, right down the middle.
Yeah, he's made a living on that slider for years now. That's a foul ball right in front of Dave McKay at first. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Jake Lamb.
Came back from a 7-1 deficit on Saturday against the White Sox. Had a 7-run ninth to come back and win that ball game 8-7.
Just need one more base runner to get that tying run up there. Brandon Drury on deck. He would be next. Two and 2. Full count. Well, Gregerson went to a full count on Goldie, 3-2. Dropped that slider in there for the strikeout. Trying to get on board for Drury. Struck him out. Well, A.J. Hinch went to his closer, Luke Gregerson, and Gregerson came in and really put out the fire. He faced 3 batters, struck all of them out, and the Astros hang on for the 8-5 win.
It sure looked like a good day the way this one got started. Patrick Corbin kind of struggled through the first inning, but managed to strand 2 base runners and put a 0 on the board. The Diamondbacks scored 2 quick ones in the first inning, but it was all Astros after that.
Well, we're on an airplane in a few minutes, and we'll head to Houston for 2 more games against these Astros at Minute Maid Park right now. Diamondback Live post-game show wraps it up. Brandon Webb standing by with Jody Jackson. Jody.
All right, thanks so much, guys. That's right. The first portion of this